Mr. Chairman, I have an amendment at the desk.
The clerk will report the amendment.
Amendment offered by Mr. Scalise of Louisiana. Page 3, line 16, after the dollar amount, insert increased by $10 million. Page 28, line 16, after the dollar amount, insert reduced by $10 million.
The gentleman from Louisiana is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate the opportunity to present this amendment. And what we're doing is we're transferring $10 million from the Department of Energy's salary and expenses account over to the Corps of Engineers construction account. And the reason this is critical is because it allows us to move forward on infrastructure improvements, including in Louisiana, something that we've been trying to do to restore our coast and get moving on the Louisiana coastal area, which is one of many projects in the Corps' budget that are backlogged and not funded, and yet are critical for improving infrastructure, for creating jobs, for doing things to protect our wetlands. And of course in Louisiana, I bring this football because we lose 1 football field of land every hour along the Gulf Coast in Louisiana due to coastal erosion. And we have a plan that we put forth. Our Governor Bobby Jindal and his team have a solid plan in place that they've moved forward on. And what we're trying to do, this is an authorized program, we're just trying to make sure that this program can move forward like so many others across the country that would improve our waterways, that would strengthen our coastlines, and yet you've got salaries that are being funded for projects now, and you look at the Department of Energy, we've actually cut back on a lot of the work that they do at the Department of Energy, rightfully so, eliminating programs that are unnecessary, and yet their salaries still continue to go up. So they're doing, we ask people to do more with less. In this case, they're doing less with more. And so we're moving money out of a salaries account for people that are doing less work and moving it into actually doing coastal projects, actually doing work that improves our coast and strengthens the areas that protect the vital infrastructure for the oil and gas industry, that feeds this nation's energy needs, and the seafood that feeds this nation's great taste for great things like shrimp and oysters and crabs. And so with that, I reserve the balance of my time.
Not reserve the balance of his time.
Okay, then I would like to yield 2 minutes to the gentleman from Louisiana. This is a bipartisan amendment, and I want to thank the gentleman from Louisiana for helping us with this, Mr. Richmond from New Orleans.
The gentleman from Louisiana may yield, but may not yield blocks of time.
Thank you. Yield.
Does the gentleman yield?
Yield to the gentleman from Louisiana, Mr. Richmond.
The gentleman from Louisiana is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I thank you to my colleague from Louisiana. And we have the great honor and also responsibility of representing the coast of Louisiana. And, Mr. Chairman, the coast of Louisiana since 1950 has sent to the American Treasury almost $150 billion. And up until 2006, we didn't receive any revenues back from the federal government for drilling off of our outer continental shelf. What we do today is just ask for the ability to help ourselves, protect our citizens, and make this country safer. At the end of the day, I'd like to remind the Chair that our state has over 40% of the nation's wetland losses, but we have 80% of wetland loss, but we only have 40% of the nation's wetlands. But if you look at what we give back to this country, I think that you will see that a $10 million investment would be a very good investment into our country, into our state, if you look at the cost-benefit analysis. Our wetlands produce 1/3 of the nation's seafood supply and much of our domestic energy. Our coast is the home to the country's largest port system. These ports move the overwhelming majority of our imports and exports in this country. It's not just about the oil and gas production. It's not just about Louisiana's importance in terms of our energy production for this country, but it also makes the residents of Louisiana safer. That coastal land and those barrier islands produce the first defense to hurricanes, and we all saw during Hurricane Katrina the devastation that could be caused. So we're just asking this body to approve this amendment, which will help Louisiana protect our citizens, protect America's energy production. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I'll yield the balance of the time back to the gentleman from Louisiana.
The gentleman from Louisiana is recognized.
Thank you again, Mr. Chairman. I thank my colleague from Louisiana for his comments, and I just urge all of our colleagues to vote for this amendment so that we can actually use money to do real projects instead of to fund the bureaucracy of Washington, and especially when we're actually reducing the workload that they have to do. Let's actually shift that money over to an area where we can actually increase jobs, protect our nation, protect our energy and infrastructure that benefits the entire country. And with that, I would urge passage of this amendment. I'd yield back the balance of my time.
Gentleman yields back his time. What purpose does the gentleman from New Jersey